Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your support of Indie Agency News. And let's meet an indie agency. We're keeping it in the hometown. So, as people probably know, Indie Agency News Worldwide HQ, Portland, Oregon. Lauren Ridgley, founder of Left Hand Agency, Portland, Oregon. Look at us.
In the house.
Oh my goodness. I know. And yeah, and it's, we got a nice little handful of agencies and we're figuring out a little get together coming up in the spring.
Yeah, can't wait.
I don't know what we're going to do. I think the dog walk is a good idea.
I love it. Well, my dog actually, he's in here right now.
Is he?
Can't see him. That's all he does is sleep, sleep, sleep. So
we'll take him for a little
I want his life.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your support of this mission, and it's great to have more agencies like yours that are media focused. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you do and where you're tracking with Left Hand Agency. But before we get started, give us a little background on you and how you got to the point where you said, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, gosh. Well, it's kind of a long story. It's
all right, I'll go take a nap. You go finish.
I know, I'll try to be brief. I mean, I started out working in local TV, and I actually started at Coin in Portland and worked in many different markets, finally winding up as what they call a creative services director in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I did start doing my own media buying. And I actually got to work at that station with a former media buyer who was our research director, Pam. And she taught me a lot about media. And you'd think that you come into that role knowing about reach and frequency, but I was a video producer and that was the background. I made pretty things. And so really when I started to learn how that sort of part of the equation comes in, it was really exciting to me. I left local TV because I was having a kiddo and I wanted to move back to Portland. And so it was starting actually as it was called Left Hand Marketing because I'm a lefty. And
okay.
Yeah, there you go. And then I was freelancing for many years for a media buying agency and really fell in love with that part of it. It was one of those things where it went from opening a spreadsheet with a sense of dread in the beginning to opening a spreadsheet with joy now. Like I love spreadsheets. So it definitely was a journey. And one of the things I think that's been fun in the whole process is that I do have an understanding of the creative process and the creative side. And so tying those things together with media has been just a joy. So that's kind of how it started. And then a couple years back, I was like, we got a big client and I was like, time to make this a thing. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. And what I've noticed from you and some of our other media agencies, it's, Hunter Blue, we talk about Noble People is that focus on ensuring like the creative piece of it really does matter. And I'm not saying that other shops don't do that, but you've mentioned one of the key strengths there, which is the understanding and the empathy and understanding what good creative is. What would you say are a couple other top core strengths that rise to the top for you and Left Hand?
Yeah, I mean, really, we have hands-on media buying for programmatic in-house. A lot of people farm that out, or they have someone who can just do social, but like we do the full suite of DSPs. And I was a programmatic media buyer for many years, and having the understanding of how the digital ecosystem really works is really important. But I also bought traditional media. And there's often this disconnect between people who bought traditional media in the past and they really understand spots and dots and GRPs and TRPs and all that. And then you have people who bought programmatic and they understand impressions and CPMs and behavioral targeting. And so having an understanding of how to bridge that gap has been a really big strength for our agency. And like, we don't have silos between our media buyers that primarily work on, top level planning and traditional and our digital buyers who are hands-on keyboard. So being able to understand that has been a huge strength for our team.
Yeah. And what is, what I love about that is that you do cover such a wide swath, and it can be very, very easy to your point, like stay in one lane, because you and I came up of a certain era. Let me just put it to you this way. Leslie Peterson in Portland? Okay, so she's OG Portland media.
Okay. Oh, she's standard TV. Is that the standard TV?
I can't remember. But back in the day, Your boy here was doing insertion orders for newspapers in very small markets in
Yeah,
Oregon
you
and
know.
Washington. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was the Hood River publication king.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but I think that keeping that part really fresh is really important. And the other thing that I've learned, especially with our members who are focused on media, is this idea of independence,
Mhm.
and specifically around being agnostic on platform, which is really, really helpful vis-a-vis, holding companies that may have deals with Zuckerberg. But why is being
Yeah.
indie important to you and important to your team as well?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms
Hmm.
of like what we bring in terms of being media agnostic and really covering the whole gamut. We've been working on trying to have more measurement that takes into account traditional media because digital's come in and really stolen the show for many years, and now we're trying to see like that shininess is worn off, and there's a reason we have traditional media like billboards and things coming in. But
Hmm.
to answer your question, like being independent. As a team allows us to do what we want to do for our clients and what's best for them. So I think, you mentioned having these deals with folks. We don't take any rebates from any vendors ever.
Hmm.
And that's just a standing thing. And so we can go in and say the best place for your dollars is really the best place for your media dollars, not because,
Right.
oh, we have this $3 million minimum that we have to hit because we made a deal with Zuckerberg and we got this discount. Frankly, a lot of our clients don't have those huge budgets, and so that actually allows us the ability to go where they need to go. And frankly, when they're in flight, even saying your media budget should never be set in stone, it should be
Right.
something that's flexible.
It should
So
fly.
like
Yep.
that carries through to everything we do. Our team doesn't know any different from where I never worked at a holdco, so I've never had that experience of saying I have
Sure.
sort of to fit into this standard of operating procedures of things. So
Right.
it's the only thing I know, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, and here's a point. So let's talk about the AI that the kids are talking about.
Yeah.
If you are put into an overly rigid structure, one would potentially imply that there's a redundancy in that. Whereas what people forget about, and brands forget about this too sometimes, is nuance. Because even though a computer might tell you something, or a platform might tell you something, or the data might tell you something, there's always something hidden in the
Yeah.
nuance that's really important. And you mentioned in flight as well, because being able to adjust in flight, like there's I've heard horror stories of, yeah, sorry, I can't do anything about it.
Yes.
So talk about the importance of nuance and being able to shift for a
Oh my
client.
gosh. Well, like we service some of our clients. We have retail is kind of our focus, but we have
Right.
some clients that are news clients. And so being able to shift dollars when there's something happening, like a wildfire, for example,
Hmm.
one of the things that we came up on is that we are nimble and reactive. I mean, same day, right? You
Right.
need to activate a media campaign because there's something huge happening in your market that's a public safety crisis. I think the Baltimore Bridge collapse that happened, right?
Right.
Those are the kind of things where you can't wait a week for your media agency to come in and say, oh, well, we think you should run on YouTube. Like, no, it's not going to happen. So
Right.
like we can both move fast when we need to. And then when we need to move slow and be really strategic and lay out a long-term plan, we can do that too. So
Right.
being reactive, being nimble with media dollars is often a really important strategy that gets overlooked for brands.
Right.
And think about like even back in the day when Oreo had that thing where the lights went out at the Super Bowl and they had a whole tweet that went viral and everything. If they would have
The
backed that with media dollars and been
Right.
ready, it would have been even more effective, right?
Well,
So
listen, it became the thing of a million thought pieces. So it's
I know exactly. Yeah.
here's my think piece on why Oreo. It's like it's 2025. You're still doing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and viral is great, but
I
like
mean,
it's
good for
not.
them. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, 360i and for Mondelez, that's like lightning
yeah,
in a bottle. And then everyone tries to replicate it, and
I
it
know
tanks. It just tanks.
exactly. Yeah.
So you've covered a couple of reasons why a brand should work with you, and what's another? What would you say if you said the main reason a brand should work with you and Left Hand?
Yeah, I mean, besides being, media agnostic and really having an ethical stance on media buying, we are really trying to come in and we kick the tires on everything and we really poke it what are the good and the bad. And I say that because like retail media networks are a really big thing that's coming up in the CPG world. All of the retailers are developing their own networks, leveraging their own data. And sometimes it's amazing, right? But sometimes it's actually going to be more effective to take your media dollars outside of that environment and have a third-party methodology for measuring it. So coming in not from any perspective of like, we are a partner to Kroger or we're a partner to Albertsons, and really just saying like, hey, you're for sale at both locations. You shouldn't be just putting your money into one bucket, because you're going to have sales that are crossed between, I shop at both places, right?
Right.
So coming in and really helping them think about it outside of the conversations they're having with these retailers, because that can be difficult. They want to make these retailers happy. They want to have more shelf space. They want more distribution. But also when they get in there, they want to be able to sell it and see what the incrementality is. And sometimes that's not being solved. So we are really great at coming in and talking to them about their entire system of sales and distribution and saying, well, like, here's what we think is the best strategy for both the media, but also the measurement side. Like, what are you truly getting?
Right.
We hear this from CPG brands saying like, our agency said we had, a 10 ROAS and all this, and that should equate to this % of sales lift, and it doesn't. And I'm like, that's because their measurement is bullshit, frankly.
Right.
Pardon my French, but like a lot of it is designed to make it look better than it is. Right. And I would rather go into a client and say, hey, it's 5%. That's what it is. And that's great. And here's why. And say that's the real measurement, not this ROAS number that doesn't actually contribute to incrementality. So there's a lot of credit being taken for sales that would have taken place anyway in the advertising world. So we're trying to come in and say, no, thanks. We want the real number. Okay, I hear your heavy sigh, All
right, let's move on before I start getting agita on this one. Let's talk about talent. And so number one, why talent, whether they're freelance or full-time, should be considering you. But the other thing that I want to talk about is, in this industry, those who choose to be in an advertising program, they generally are gravitating more towards creative. They might be gravitating more towards strategy. Yet, and I do think there's a misperception about what media is. And so number one, if you're creative, you have to understand media. If you're a strategist, you have to understand media. But also, if you're a media person first, and you understand all of that other stuff, you can have a very, very fruitful career. So number one, why consider your agency? And number two, the real benefit of really focusing in and building a career in media.
Well, first of all, I'll say this. We started with employees about 4 years ago, and a majority of people who started with us are still here, which I am extremely happy about, because when people grow with you and they learn with you, every year they're getting better. And we have had a few people leave, and I'm also proud of them. And I'm glad that they were able to springboard from here. We focus a lot on culture, even though we're a 100% remote agency. And so one of the biggest reasons people like working for us is that we do have a relatively flexible environment. Of course, we have working hours. We have to service our clients where they're needed. But, we have employees who might have a family emergency, and it's such a tight-knit team right now that like, we got you covered, right? No big deal. You need to go pick up your kid from the bus stop. No big deal. Like there's no one breathing down your neck. And frankly, that's because I started the agency because I wanted that flexibility in my life to be able to be with my family. And I lead with that first, and then really trying to have more regular, check-ins with our team. We have a call every day. So from the culture side, it's difficult when you're 100% remote. So we really try to focus on that. We have one annual team meeting a year right now. I'd love to have it be two. They're expensive, of course, but like last year, we brought the whole team actually out to Oregon. We did a cooking class out in Hood River. We went out there for the day. We did a bunch of stuff in Portland too. It was a magical week to have the team together and frankly get to show off what makes Oregon so beautiful. So, those kinds of things you just can't get when you're 100% remote. So we do try to do that once a year and bring everybody together. To answer your question on like, I understood that when I was in school, I went to U of O and I was in the journalism school, but also took some of the classes in the advertising track. And no one really talked about media. I mean, it's frankly maybe something that may get more discussed in business school than it does in the actual advertising program. And that's a shame, right? Because it is a creative endeavor, right? Being able to say, okay, how would I go about this to find this audience? Where might they be? How do I liaise with the creative team to say, like, there's this capability, for example, interactive CTV, right? You have to know there's that capability before you can ideate the creative behind it. So it's important. It's an important part of the equation. And I wish we had more people talking about it in school, because it does make it harder when people go out into the job market and they're looking for jobs and they don't really know what media means.
Right.
And I even have people that work in advertising and they say I'm a media buyer and they're like, I don't know what that is. So, you know, yeah.
Right, yeah. Would you consider yourselves weirdos, misfits, or underdogs?
Oh, I mean, at this stage right now, I mean, I'm a weirdo 100% forever. But we're definitely underdogs, and
underdogs
in the best possible way. We're underdogs. We're a small agency. We're independent. We have, a handful of really great clients and some big ones, but like we're still really small and growing. We have that boutique experience. I don't want to lose that. It's not my goal to be, a really, really large agency. I always want to have that high contact with our clients, even if it's not me, it's someone on our team, making sure that we are servicing them to the best of our ability. So underdogs for sure, for now, hopefully not forever.
Well, I know you're a weirdo. Whether they are a client or not, which CMO or marketer would you like to say hello to?
Oh, it's not necessarily a CMO. We have a lot of indie brands that we actually work with that are founder led. And so I'm kind of, I have crushes on founders. Laura Orley from Daily Crunch is one of them. She's fantastic. Let's see. The gal that owns Belgian Brothers, they're a pancake brand. There's a lot of female-led brands that I'm kind of obsessed with. Catherine Martinez Meyer from Born Brand, they're a hot sauce brand that I'm obsessed with. So a ton of those guys, I follow them on LinkedIn. I love seeing, like, I identify with their journey as a founder-led company, because I'm also, founding this company and understanding the fight that you're up against constantly against the big brands with bigger budgets. So they're scrappy, I'm scrappy. Those are the people I gravitate towards on LinkedIn. And I do love CMOs like Todd Kaplan, who's now Kraft Heinz. He's great. I love watching him. So
he's good people too, I will say.
Huge fan of his work. So I do love
Cap, you're good people. You're good people, Cap. I'm just presuming that's his nickname, by the
way. He's like, no,
it's not. I'm called the Captain. No, it's like,
I like that.
Captain. Yeah, Captain. That was actually from the movie Analyze This.
I love it.
It was Lisa Kudrow's dad. So yeah. Who played her dad in that movie. So Cap, good on you. Lauren, good on you. Professional broadcast segue. You and I both coming from broadcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for representing the home team of Oregon in the Northwest.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting this vibe. And I will say that Lauren is on the board of Next Northwest, our regional trade association. She's taken on myriad projects. So thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Doug. It's good to see you.